Hi, folks. Welcome to this webinar with Dtravel and Uplisting, which is called Increase Revenue and Bookings by Targeting Digital Nomads and Crypto Travelers. We'll give people a few minutes to join, but in the meantime, we'll introduce the speakers. So I'm Vince. I'm one of the founders of Uplisting. We're not going to spend any time talking about Uplisting. This is to introduce, the purpose of this webinar is to introduce Dtravel to you. So we have Quinn and Sin from Dtravel. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Yeah, thanks, Vince. I know we did one of these maybe a couple weeks ago with our audience, so it's great to do this with your audience as well. I'm going to try to share my screen here. We've got some slides and a demo prepared.
Yeah, and just one thing before you do that, or doesn't matter. We just going to say that there's a chat widget in the bottom right-hand corner you should see on your screen, and use that, or there's a question box there. So use that if you have any questions to ask Quinn and Sin, and we can or they can answer probably at the end, or if they're relevant throughout the presentation. So Quinn, take it away. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Vince. Let me see if I can get this to work. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that. Vince or Sin, let me know if you can't.
I can see it.
Cool. All right. So yeah, like Vince said, I'm Quinn. I'm the head of product at Dtravel, and Sin is the head of demand growth. And we're really, really excited to be chatting more with you all about what we're doing and why we think it's important for you to know. Sin, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Vince, thanks so much for having us. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic because I am a trifecta of what we're talking about today. So I've been a short-term rental host since 2014. I'm also a crypto digital nomad. So this topic I'm really passionate about because it's something that is very near and dear to my heart.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, let's do a quick overview of what we're going to do today. So we'll share a little bit more about who we are, and again, why it's important for you to know, or why we think it's important. What exactly even are digital nomads and crypto travelers, and why should you target them? How can you actually target these two different groups? And then I'm going to do a very, very quick product demo towards the end, and then we can open it up for Q&A. Okay, so what is Dtravel? Dtravel is a new booking channel that helps you connect directly with your guests and really save on those fees. We use some blockchain and Web3 technology behind the scenes to make that all work, to be able to keep fees lower than anywhere else, which we can maybe get into a little bit. But it's really all about giving you as much ownership and control over your digital business. And with that, I will turn it over to Cynthia.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. So obviously one of the topics we're talking about today are crypto travelers. And I think a discussion about crypto generally wouldn't be complete without a discussion around Web3, or just sort of a quick overview to make sure that we're all on the same page about this. So I'm just going to quickly talk about what exactly Web3 is and how that applies to the travel space. So Web 1 was really about what we call the read age. And so that was basically where you had these static websites that you didn't really interact with, but you just consumed for information. And then Web 2, which we're in right now, is what we call the write economy. And so this is really where you're actually making changes and you're interacting with what exists on the web. So if you think about content creators, for example, who create blogs, videos, can change up websites, etc. That's essentially what we think about when we think about write. So being able to both consume and then also interact and edit content on the internet. And now we're transitioning into Web3, which at its core, the ethos behind it is about what we call the ownership economy. So this is really about, instead of in Web 2, where you have people and corporations owning a lot of that data, Web 3 is about people taking back their ownership of data and being able to get ownership in the ecosystems and products that they use to become an owner. And if we think about this, next slide, please, Glenn.
Whoops.
Thank you. If we think about how this works in the travel space specifically, in Web 1, this was really a directory. So if you think about a site like, say, VRBO, at the time from the late 1990s to early 2000s, it was really a directory. So if you wanted to go book, or you as a host wanted to list your listing, you would go on and then it would have information about the listing. But if anybody wanted to go book, they'd actually have to call the host to be able to do that. Then we transition into Web 2, which again we're in right now, but this is really about online OTA. So it became very, very easy for you to be able to book travel online and even be able to interact with, say, hosts or hotels, etc. And then with Web3, again, which we're transitioning into and which Dtravel is a part of, it's about ownership. So it's about you as a host and then you as a guest getting ownership in the ecosystems that you participate in. And this is really giving power back to hosts so that they have ownership into their own businesses. All right, Quinn, next slide. So again, just to set the stage, I wanted to give some definitions around what digital nomads are and what crypto travelers are. So a digital nomad is any person who performs their job primarily using mobile technology, and this allows them to be location independent. Digital nomads use this location independence to live outside of wherever their home province or state is, and also changes their location regularly, either staying in a place for anywhere from days to months or even up to years, but they will be moving again. Now, on the flip side, crypto travelers. Next slide, thank you. A crypto traveler is someone who's someone who pays for part or all of their travels using cryptocurrency. They believe in the future of cryptocurrency and are looking for ways to be able to use that in real life. They have some people even have most of their assets in cryptocurrency, and that's why they need a place to actually use it in real life. And they may be a digital nomad, but not necessarily. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, there's been a huge increase in both digital nomads and Web3 wallets. And so these two trends are actually also tied closely together, where a lot of crypto travelers are also nomads. The big takeaway here from this slide that I want to show you is that these are two really, really massive markets, and they already make up a huge segment of the travel market. And this is only going to get to grow in the next 10 years. And so for you as a host to keep not even growing your business, but just sustaining it, you can't afford to ignore digital nomads and crypto travelers, which is why we're talking about this topic today. Now, why should you target these two groups? I think that there is a misconception out there that digital nomads might be gig or casual workers and people who don't make a lot of money. And in fact, the majority, if not all of them, are actually highly educated, because the jobs that allow them to work remotely worldwide are actually highly skilled professional jobs that require they have a degree and have some kind of skill set. They are also low maintenance, courteous guests. So because they tend to stay in a place for quite a while and they want more of a local, real experience, they're going to be pretty conscientious guests. So they're not there to party or destroy anything. So for you as a host, that's obviously a huge relief, because then you know that you're not going to have any issues with these guests. Again, they're high income earners. So the majority of them have full-time jobs, and they're earning, I'll show you on the next slide, but they earn 6 figures on average. And they also tend to book longer term stays. So the average stay is anywhere from 3 to 9 months that most of these are travelers are staying in one place. And then they also frequently book. So obviously, if they're traveling around, they're going to be booking for those stays. But then even when they're staying in one spot, they are also traveling around to other places, because they're still essentially taking vacations while they're living in one place longer term. So that means that they're frequently booking in a lot of different places. So these are going to be people who are going to be spending a lot of money over time. And then finally, off season. So if you're in a spot where you have a listing that tends to be really popular in the summer or the winter, digital nomads often like to travel to places where it's not as busy. So they like to travel off season because they want to avoid crowds, and then it's probably cheaper, especially because they're staying longer term. So you can use that to basically attract those people in your off season, and then in your peak season, you continue to host other tourists that are going to come to your listing anyway. Next slide, please, Quinn. Thank you. So again, these are high value and high intent guests, because they're going to be traveling for sure. And on average, they spend just under $800 billion across the world. So that's huge. I think if in terms of spend, they're, I think, 38th in the world if they were a country. So again, this is a really, really high value group of people. And then 80% of them stay between 3 to 9 months. I think if you look at 3 to 6 months, that number goes even higher, up to 90%. And then on average, they're making just under $120,000. So they have a lot of spending power that hopefully you want to attract to your listing. Now, in terms of crypto adoption, why we wanted to highlight this group as well is that there's a huge demand for this. So as I mentioned, with crypto travelers, they're often digital nomads, but they also are traveling to conferences all the time. Like I myself, I have been to probably 6 conferences already all over the world, and I'm going to be attending 3 more. So these are people who are looking for ways to spend their crypto, and they're frequently traveling with other people, and they're going to be sharing their accommodations with their friends as well. We can see that this is a proven use case in other with other OTAs. So Travala, they actually get 80% of their bookings. They're a crypto OTA. So we know that there's a huge demand for this. And just to give you guys some flavor, Brian Chesky wrote a tweet earlier this year asking for the top requests from users, and the top feature request was crypto payments. So you can see that on the traveler side, there's a really, really huge demand for this. And then just another fun fact here, the more that somebody travels, the more likely they are to actually become the more likely they are to own crypto. And so there's definitely a huge crossover between these 2 groups. Next slide, please. So now that I've sold you on the idea of targeting digital nomads and crypto travelers, and you're all in and you're super excited about how to target these people, how do you actually do that? So listing optimization is going to be key to speak to why these travelers should book your listing. At a very basic level, I think putting these different things into your listing is really good and calling them out. I think a pro tip for anybody who really wants to invest in this group is to actually add a page on your website about digital nomads for your city or neighborhood, and then you'll get SEO for it, and then hopefully rank, especially if you're in a place that maybe there's not a lot of content around it for. But then more importantly, it also becomes basically an info page for anybody who fits within one of these 2 groups and is looking for more information either about your listing specifically or even about the city or area that you're in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is optimize the work environment for crypto travelers and digital nomads. So what that means is high-speed Wi-Fi, ideally 75 megabits per second or higher, a separate work area and a comfortable chair, and then if you can, power and cable adapters for different countries, so European, Asia, and US. As a traveler, that's something that is definitely something that makes hosts stand out. Second is amenities for longer term stays. So if you're in a building, for example, and you have a gym in your building or even a large space in your listing for exercising, that's something you definitely want to call out. If you have a kitchen and extensive cooking supplies, that always helps because even though a lot of times nomads may not necessarily cook a ton, it's always nice to have that option. And then if you have something like cable or Netflix, that also helps as well. And then even though this is not an amenity, optimizing your price for longer term stays, especially in off-peak times, is really, really critical. So for example, for my listing, I don't give a weekly discount for my listings, but I do give a monthly discount. And then this I increase in the winter months as well, because that's off season for me. And so doing that will attract a different type of traveler. But if you need to fill that off-peak season, then that becomes a really good way to try and optimize your listing for more occupancy year round. Third, of course, accept crypto payments. So this solves a real need for currency exchange for digital nomads and crypto travelers, because if they're traveling all the time, they don't necessarily want to be able to exchange into different currencies and have that money left over. So if they can pay for their accommodations or other things using crypto because they already have it, then that's a huge win for them. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of people starting to work in the Web3 space. They're always traveling to conferences around the world, and they prefer booking with crypto because they need to find a way to use their crypto, because a lot of them actually get paid in crypto. And we have a bunch of lists of different conferences. So if anybody wants these lists, definitely reach out to us afterwards. We're happy to share them too. Next, location. So digital nomads are looking to live like locals in the places that they're staying in. There's a concept of slow travel, which means that you are living in one place for a longer time instead of traveling through. And this is why nomads often will stay in one place for 3 to 9 months. And so the more that you can do to highlight the location of your listing, like local transportation options, because obviously many of them won't have a car, the uniqueness of your neighborhood, and then the community aspect of either your neighborhood or your city, the more that these groups will be attracted to your listing. And you can even do some research and include in your listing local meetup groups or cool hangout spots that they can use to meet people. And again, that's just going to make your listing stand out more to the type of people who are looking for these kind of resources. Rental add-ons. This is actually something that I highly recommend all hosts use, even if you're not trying to target these two groups, because it's going to help you increase revenue in your business. And I think just make it more appealing, especially for families in peak season. So one really great way to help out your guests is to have what I call a rental add-on. So there are tools out there that actually allow you to create a store with extras that guests can pay for during their stay. So these are things like sports equipment rentals, bicycle rentals, car rentals even, or even things like extra groceries. So if someone's gonna be coming in late and they don't have time to go to the store, you can actually put, say, eggs, milk, cheese, bread, etc. And then guests can pay that ahead of time. You can just have it in the unit ready, but it's a really great way for you to A, provide really good service, and then B, again, to be able to make more money off of each listing. One thing that I've seen a lot of success with are car rentals through Turo. So I have friends who are doing this and they've seen really great success with it. In fact, some of them actually make more from their Turo rental than their short-term rental listing, but then combining the two together helps them really use the two assets to drive more revenue for their whole listing. So I think it's really great to be able to do that. And the reason why I think for digital nomads specifically, why this is really powerful is that if they can find one place where they can get all their rentals and do all the things that they want to do while staying there, then it's going to make your listing more appealing. And you can potentially even charge more than what, say, another rental place might charge, just because of the convenience factor. Because remember, these are high value guests who have disposable income and they are looking to spend it to get the most out of their travels. And then finally, be available as a resource. So this one, all hosts are already doing, so I don't think it should take a lot of extra time or effort. But essentially, when you identify someone who is a digital nomad, sharing tips and what might be important for them to know, especially if there's like a little known fact from being a local, that's something that's going to really help you stand out as a host and differentiate yourself and get that booking. If you can save a digital nomad or crypto traveler time from researching or potential headaches because they didn't know about a local requirement, then they're going to be a lot more likely to book with you. So as an example, if you have someone coming to stay with you for a few months and then there's a popular tourist site that books up months in advance, if you let them know ahead of time, they're going to be so appreciative of that. And again, it's much more likely to help you get the booking. Now I'm going to turn it over to Quinn to talk a little bit more about how we can help you with that.
Yeah, that was great, Cynthia. Thank you. Like you said, there are not too many people in the world more qualified than you to talk about this, considering you've got your own listings and are about to become a full-time digital nomad, starting this month, next month?
I've technically been a full-time one since 2017.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. There's the point though, not a whole lot of people that are more qualified to talk about this topic than you. So that was great. And really, that kind of highlights too the Dtravel team in general. We really are a group of like technologists. Many of us are hosts and many of us are actually digital nomads as well. So this is something that's just near and dear to our heart. Okay. So we know a little bit more about these new segments and why they're important. So how does Dtravel actually fit into all of this? As I'll show in the demo in a little bit, there are crypto and credit card payment options. So if any of your guests that you're targeting actually would prefer to pay in crypto for a variety of reasons, the one that we hear the most is especially for high costly foreign exchange fees. But pay with crypto, you can save on a lot of those expensive currency to currency conversion fees. Plus, as we've already been talking about, this access to emerging segments. For everyone that signs up on Dtravel and creates Dtravel listings, we've got a directory that we compile of all Dtravel properties that our own crypto audiences and digital nomad audiences have access to. We've been able to see some bookings driving that way. Plus, we've got a lot more in store for just helping drive more and more demand, specifically from crypto travelers and digital nomads. And then many of you probably already have a direct booking site. I'll get into this a little bit more in the next slide. But if you don't, Dtravel can be a standalone direct booking site. And if you already have a direct booking site, actually, there's a way to easily kind of build this into your tech stack, which again, I'll get into in the next slide. And then anyone that's been signing up now is getting early host rewards. So basically, we're giving out our native token to everyone that's joining early and actually driving bookings on Dtravel. Okay, so how do you use Dtravel in your business? So like I mentioned before, there's really a couple different ways. We've been seeing a lot of folks that want to fill that gap of having a direct booking site. They don't have one yet. They want to be able to point their guests to something where the guest can save on fees and where the host doesn't have to pay high OTA fees or high fees to the OTAs. So we've had a lot of success with some of our earliest hosts in just kind of solving that need for folks. But what we're also finding is a lot of folks already have direct booking sites and don't necessarily need a second one per se. In that case, we've seen a couple hosts that have just added like a crypto button to their existing website, where if anyone wants to pay with crypto to again save on some of those big fees, they can do so. It just redirects directly to their Dtravel listing. And again, just by creating your listings on Dtravel, which takes minutes, if that, if you're already an uplisting customer, this also just gets you access to a new demand channel and gets you access to some of these segments that we've been talking about today. So on that note, yeah, by signing up for Dtravel and creating your Dtravel listings, which again takes minutes if you're already an uplisting user, this gets you integrations to or gets you access to, again, some of these segments we've been talking about today. And there's a couple different ways that we're doing this. Some of these exist today and some of these are coming very, very soon. But first, this direct booking meta search or directory, by creating a Dtravel listings, you'll automatically get added to our directory that our digital nomad audiences have access to. And when they want to look for listings that are crypto enabled, that's the first place that they look. And then we've got a couple different demand channels and crypto OTAs that we're working on. So anyone that signs up for Dtravel will get access to those as well. All right, I'm gonna attempt here to do a product demo. So I'm gonna stop sharing these slides and jump over. Hopefully, I can't actually see the chat or the camera. So Cynthia or Vince, let me know.
Yep.
It looks good.
Okay, cool. And actually, on that note, I've been hearing some bubbles. I'm guessing those are some questions. I can't see any of those, so let me know if you need me to stop and answer some of these, or we can.
I think at the end. I think we work for the end. I think.
Okay, so this is the dashboard. So if you sign up for Dtravel, this is what you're going to see. This is just a test account, so no actual real listings yet. But the thing that I want to quickly show here is how easy it is to connect with Uplisting. Okay, so I've clicked some of that start guide of what I have to do. And now if I go into Uplisting, generate that API key, which is in the settings on Uplisting, plug it in here, it'll automatically create all of my Dtravel listings within seconds. So once you've done that, we're going to look at one of our hosts, what we call their like portfolio page. So this is a brand, Airbu Homes, who's got a pretty big portfolio in Kansas City. here's all of his Dtravel listings. I can, search for dates and how many guests, but I'm going to just click into one of these listings to show some things. Okay, so we see the listing and some of the key differences between Dtravel and other booking channels. We're immediately going to see how much you can save, not only by booking directly, but also by paying in crypto, how much the guest can actually save by doing this. So let's dig into this a little bit more. So I'm going to pick some dates, and we're going to click reserve. Okay, so the other thing to call out here, now we've got a kind of a standard checkout flow, but the big difference here is two different options for how you want to pay. So we integrate with Stripe. So all of our hosts that have credit card option is with their Stripe account. And as probably everyone knows that's used Stripe, there's about a 3% fee that's associated with any Stripe booking. So all that gets automatically passed on to the guest. We've been getting a couple feature requests lately for at least the option for the host to take this on, which we're working on. But as you can see, like the guest will have to pay this 3% if they want to pay the credit card, or the big difference is they can check out with crypto and save those credit card fees. And to do that, you just connect your wallet. So we integrate with a non-custodial wallet that's called MetaMask. So as there was a slide that we showed before about just the number of wallets out there, and right now the number is something like 300 million, and it's expected to go up to north of 1 billion in the next 10 years. So there's a lot of folks, especially crypto travelers and digital nomads, that have these non-custodial wallets, and this is how you would actually pay for a reservation with crypto. Okay, that was the big stuff I wanted to show you on the demo. Let me see if we can go back to these slides. And okay, so in summary, we learned a little bit more about who and what digital nomads and crypto travelers are, and why we think it's important that you should care and how you can actually target them, and how Dtravel can actually help you do all of that. Connecting to Dtravel, super easy, especially if you're already an uplisting customer. It really just takes minutes to get those listings live, to be able to start taking advantage of some of these segments. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Dtravel is completely free to use. We'll only take fees if you actually get bookings. And right now, those fees are 5%, and all of that gets returned in our token. So our net fees actually are 0%, and it's completely free to get started, and it only takes minutes. And there's a couple different ways that you can integrate Dtravel into your tech stack, either through a direct booking site or as your crypto booking engine for any of these segments that are looking to pay in crypto. And every booking that you get, like I said before, is going to earn our native token. So you can actually earn rewards just by getting bookings on Dtravel. Okay, so if you're interested, there's a couple different ways to get started. The easiest one's probably just going to our website and signing up at dtravel.com. If you want any extra support, there's a couple different ways you can do that, but the best one's probably to shoot Eric an email, and his email is eric@dtravel.com. And then if anyone out there has Discord or know what Discord is, you can always join our Discord and chat with me, Cynthia, the rest of our team, and get the earliest updates, provide feedback, see what other hosts are saying, see what tips and tricks are working for folks. And with that, I will end it here, and we can turn it over to some Q&A.
Thanks, Din and Quinn. Can you see the questions, or do you want me to read them out? There's a couple of questions.
Let me stop sharing here.
Someone's been answering a few on the chat. Let us have a look at the questions. So one question is, would you see a large opportunity in Chinese travelers following the ban on crypto? Would travel be a way for them to use those funds?
I can probably take this one, Quinn, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's definitely insightful. You know, I have some familiarity with the Asia market because I spent a lot of time there for my last startup, which is also a Web3 startup. And there's been definitely like bans to some extent within crypto in China specifically for many years. Obviously, they now have gone to a full ban, but there's a lot of Chinese people who actually hold crypto, and they use that as a way to essentially head against the RMB. And so not just with China, but a lot of travelers worldwide do use crypto as a way to pay for different things, because I think in North America, I'm not sure where the audience is from, but in North America specifically, I think we take for granted the fact that credit cards are so ubiquitous. But in a lot of other countries around the world, it's actually very difficult to get a credit card. Or even a bank account. So a lot of people actually use crypto to pay for things because they don't have access to the traditional financial system. So I think this is tapping into a market that you probably would not see, because often if you are taking fiat, it's through a credit card. And there's a lot of countries that just don't have that kind of infrastructure from a financial perspective.
Good.
Sin, do you also want to take that other question about, I think you're well positioned to answer this one as well. Like, are any risks in accepting transactions in crypto?
Yes. So I think that it really depends on how you think about crypto as a business owner. So you can look at it as essentially just a currency that you're going to convert to whatever your home currency is right away. And so at that point, there's no risk because you are essentially just converting it via your bank account or through an exchange into your bank account, into your local currency. And we accept stable coins, which are basically cryptocurrencies that are backed one-to-one by a US dollar. And so that's how we've handled oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the term. Basically the variances in values of cryptocurrency. And so there's a lot of banks around the world where you can do what we call off-ramping, which is essentially just converting that crypto back into your home currency. However, if you did want to start to have some of your portfolio on the investment side be in cryptocurrency, this is a really easy way for you to be able to accept cryptocurrency and then trade it to other cryptocurrencies. So I think it really depends on what you want to do with it, but the risk in terms of accepting it, because we are using a stable coin and you can convert that pretty easily within your local bank account, I'd say it's pretty low risk.
I see another question here about how many visits that we get on Dtravel per month. I guess it depends if you're asking about this from a host or a guest perspective. We really are still we don't always like using the word beta around here, but we still only like soft launched for the most part. We don't really have. We've got a lot of demand and request on being able to book Dtravel listings, which is why we have this directory of all crypto-enabled Dtravel listings that you can find. And if you sign up on Dtravel, you automatically get added to that. But we don't yet have like that search functionality for guests yet. It's coming soon. We get a lot of requests for it. So we haven't even really started to tap into like the guest demand side there. There's a lot more that we can do. But for hosts, the last that we checked our wait list of folks that have been trying to sign up for Dtravel, it's approaching, I think, close to 10,000 at this point of hosts and folks that are interested in actually listing on Dtravel. I don't know if that totally answers your question, but there's been a lot of demand really on both sides from guests and hosts. And there's a lot more that we can be doing to to continue to grow.
Guess it'll take a bit of time, but the opportunity is there.
Yes, yes. Let's see if there's any other.
I think V asked a question, is your token listed yet? Any airdrops happening soon? So it is listed, and we are not doing any airdrops, but as Quinn mentioned in the presentation, early hosts are getting rewards with our tokens. So that's definitely a way for you to get TRVL. And I wanted to echo something that Quinn said as well. If this is a segment that you want to target, whether it's digital nomads or crypto travelers, we're pretty plugged into the crypto ecosystem and community. And so if you have questions about where to find these people, how to potentially get in touch with them and market your listing, then definitely feel free to reach out to us after the call. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Don't see any more questions or anything else. So I guess we can wrap it up, folks.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and sharing a Dtravel with us, Sin and Quinn. And as you said, just reach out to you folks directly. And as we said, it's really easy to connect through Uplisting. If you need any help getting your API key from us, just reach out to our customer support. But it's a matter of plugging that into Dtravel, and Dtravel will do all the hard work for you for creating your listing. So very, very low risk and low time.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thanks,
Vince.
everyone. Thanks, Vince.
Thanks, folks. Okay, talk soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.